everybody? Welcome back to Last Laugh Fitness. We're back with another one. And you know, if you ain't aiming to get lean, jacked, and in shape, I ain't mad. I'm just disappointed. But let's go ahead and get right back. Let's get into this. When you decide to turn your back on society, you will become the black sheep. And what I mean by that is, when you turn your back on the herd mentality, you will be looked upon as weird, as you take this too serious, and you have to learn how to embrace it because you set a goal. And it's nothing wrong with how others live their lives. It's nothing wrong with how others don't have the same fitness goals as you. But this is your life. And honestly, this is what you signed up for. And you have to learn to embrace it. And you have to learn how to advocate for yourself. You will be looked upon as maybe slightly disrespectful when you go to gatherings like Super Bowl parties and things of that nature, and you have your meal prep. There will be times when that won't be appropriate. Say you're going to a wedding, or maybe you're meeting your girlfriend's parents. That's okay, Have the meal, get back on track. But if it's nothing like that, you have to learn how to embrace being the black sheep and turning your back on society. Because someone came up to me today and said, you know what, man? He said, when I had lost a lot of weight, a lot of people came up to me and was like, man, you're getting skinny. He was like, but now that I've gained weight, they're coming up, rubbing my belly and saying like, man, you've gained weight. Man, like, you gained weight. And you know what I told him? I told him, so that means that, no matter what you do, someone's always gonna have something to say. And I continue to stress it. But you have to keep in mind what your goals are. No matter what anybody says. Because regardless if you are in shape or out of shape, they will have an opinion. But the person who opinion means the most is yours. When you look in that mirror, are you seeing the vision that you have for yourself when you look in the mirror and said, I put on extra weight, I want to lose it? You had to have a vision of yourself in better shape to make that decision that you want to lose weight. Your family members, they might not understand the mission, but it's your job to stress the importance of it, because no one is going to care about your mission more than you. It's not their job to. have to take your hobbies, your goals, everything you do super serious and be unwavering in the stance that you take. People have to know that that guy right there is on the mission. That woman right there is on the mission. And you have to build enough confidence in yourself to say no to the dessert, because you know, in some cases they can't wait until you become your old version. They can't wait until you say you lost weight. They can't wait until you gain it back. And I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm just being honest. Because you giving in to that dessert, it's gonna last maybe 10 minutes, maybe less. But you denying it and saying no and sticking to your diet plan, staying consistent and working out, the results of that will last much longer than the quick dopamine hit, the quick release of good energy from the dessert. You have to know that there's a light at the end of this tunnel. And you guys remember about that turtle? The turtle wins the race, and how the rabbit ran out of energy and the turtle won in the end. That's how the fitness is, man. We spent years putting on the weight. It's gonna take a lot less time to lose it, but you're not gonna lose it overnight. And you need to be dedicated to this. That's why I say, man, I can tell, like, you know, very quickly if you're serious about getting on this journey by, you know, if I'm asked a question or if I see someone else asking another person who's in shape about how they did it, and they tell them and they don't go get or don't follow the directions of the person they asked the advice from. You know, at a certain point, I remember, you know, growing up in school, you know, like, the math got a little more complicated. You had to bring your calculator, man. This math class required a calculator because it's a little more detailed. That's how it is with these calories, with this fitness journey, with tracking your food. If you're not weighing out your food, weighing out your portions, you're coming to algebra, calculus, without your calculator. And we're not saying it can't get done. There are some anomalies out there. I'm not saying you can't do pre-calculus without a calculator. I'm not saying you can't do it. You know, like, you might be able to do it in your head. But only a small few people can do that. But if the calculator is going to make it easier for you to pass the test, why wouldn't you purchase one, invest in it, in order to be successful in your class? Because that class is a small brick into building the house, which, you know, the house in the realm of education could be, you know, getting your diploma or your degree or whatever else they got in the education. That is a small part. But if you don't get that, you're making the job harder. If you're not weighing out the portions with a calculator that probably costs about $8 to $10, an investment in yourself, it's going to be a lot harder. You might think, oh, I'm going to fast, I'm going to do this. And yes, that will work. But what fasting does is pretty much put you in a calorie deficit. So you can be eating more, not fixated on food all day, because you've planned out the meals, you've weighed them out, and you're eating at designated times. Whatever hours that you choose to eat during the day, you're eating. And when you pull out this scale and you bring your Tupperware and you bring these planned meals, you're gonna get called out on it. But you have to know in your head, I'm doing this because I have a goal. And the people around me, they simply just don't have the same goal as me. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to be okay with being different. And that's why I'm glad that I have this platform where I can tell you, I'm here for you. And I genuinely want anybody who entrusts me with their time to look at this to be successful. Man, if this helped you in any type of way, like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, we out.